Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So Sony revealed the new PS5 controller, the DualSense, today, and I wanted to kind of do my breakdown and reaction to it, and I wanted to state at the beginning of this video that I have nothing against the other consoles, I have nothing against the Xbox, I have nothing against the PC, I also play some games on the PC, so I have nothing against the other consoles and the PC. I just personally prefer PlayStation. That's just the brand that I grew up with. I grew up with the PS1, played PS2, PS3, into PS4, so that's just the brand that I personally prefer, and it's what most of my friends play on, so I don't got anything against the other consoles. I think the whole console war crap is just stupid, people hating on each other's consoles. I just personally prefer PlayStation, that's my preference. Don't got anything against the other consoles, but now that that's out of the way, I want to talk about the new controller, the DualSense, and this is an upgrade from the DualShock 4 that we had with the PS4. I'm going to talk about the new features with it, kind of give my breakdown to it, and I'm also going to talk about some things that they could do to improve from their DualShock 4 predecessor. So it says introducing DualSense, the new wireless game controller for PS5. So that's what it's going to be called, DualSense. Kind of weird name. You know, I thought they'd call it DualShock 5, but you know, names don't really matter to me. It's just I just care about if the product works and it works good. But here's an image of the controller. I have it in my other tab here. Yeah, this is what the controller actually looks like. So you see, it appears to look a little bit wider on the sides here. And what I noticed, the biggest thing is that the touchpad is slanted, because on the DualShock 4, this is kind of a rectangle, where here it's slanted. We also don't have the options name here, and the share button. It's obviously the same buttons here, at least I think so. They're just not called that anymore. You don't have the text above them, but other than that, it looks very similar to the DualShock 4. But let's read into what is new about the controller exactly. We've reached an exciting milestone with PlayStation 5 as we're starting to ship our new controller and its final design to developers who are implementing its unique features into their games. But first, we wanted everyone in the PlayStation community to get a first look at DualSense wireless controller, and here our vision for how the new controller will captivate more of your senses as you interact with the world in PS5 games. The features of DualSense, along with PS5's Tempest 3D audio tech, will deliver a new feeling of immersion to players. So it looks like we're going to be able to plug in some kind of audio jack here. I see the little microphone button is like slashed out here, so I don't know if we're going to be able to use a microphone with the PlayStation controller, but we are going to be able to use it for audio at least, but kind of confused on what that slash means, so no microphone with that. When PS4 launched in 2013, the DualShock 4 wireless controller garnered a lot of positive feedback from gamers and developed for being the best PlayStation controller yet. And for introducing forward-looking features like the share button, this brought us the next question: how do we build upon that success? Okay, so I want to talk about some problems with DualShock 4, because there are some issues that have frustrated me. And I'm not attacking Sony here. That is not my goal. My goal is to have improved their new controller, because I want their controller to be as good as possible. I want it to be as good as possible. So I'm going to talk about some things that I had issues with the DualShock 4. And most of my issues are just like glitches and just problems with the controller. It's not like, you know, I don't like the design of it or what the buttons do. But one issue that really annoys me with the DualShock 4, and this is one of my older controllers, what I really don't like is I don't like how, like, after like using a controller for like many months, even up to like a year, if you play a lot of first-person shooters, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. If you use L3 to sprint in a lot of games, if you keep sprinting, like you just keep sprinting a lot, eventually you are gonna wear down, you know, the controls in here, you know, the little, I don't know what to call them, little gears in here, but eventually they wear down. So if you play a lot of first-person shooters, this part of the controller eventually does wear down. And what happens is, when you try to run in a game, you will actually freeze for like a second. So you might like run for like a few seconds, then you'll like freeze, you run, then you freeze, and you immediately just stop running. And this can be really annoying, and this can be the difference between life and death in like a game. You're playing like a war game, you're trying to run for cover, you don't want to get shot, you're running, all of a sudden you freeze, and you just get shot, and it's so annoying. And to be fair, there is a way to fix this issue. There are guides on YouTube, there are YouTube videos on how to fix this issue. You gotta open up the PlayStation controller, you gotta do a bunch of little things in here, but that's just still annoying and complicated. You shouldn't have to open up the PlayStation controller in order to fix this issue. So I really hope that with this DualSense controller, please, Sony, make, you know, the sticks much more stronger so that they don't wear out as easy, If people are going to be playing a lot of first-person shooters because the next, Call of Duty game is probably going to launch with the PS5, and the next Battlefield game might launch also, so people are going to play a lot of shooters, and, there might even be a new Killzone game, I don't know. But regardless, there's going to be much more shooters on there, there's going to be much more games that are going to require this to sprint. And I really, really hope that this doesn't happen where we play with this new DualSense controller for a few months and all of a sudden this just stops working. It's just so annoying when that happens. So I just wanted to cover that stick issue there really quickly because I just don't want to see that happen with the DualSense 5. But let me know in the comments if that happened to you. If you played first-person shooters, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's just a kind of annoying problem with the stick. But let's keep reading further in here. After thoughtful consideration, we decided to keep much of what gamers love about DualShock 4 intact, while also adding new functionality and refining the design. Based on our discussions with developers, we concluded that the sense of touch within gameplay, much like audio, hasn't been a big focus for many games. We had a great opportunity with PS5 to innovate by offering game creators the ability to explore how they can heighten that feeling of immersion through a new controller. That is why we adopted haptic feedback, which adds a variety of powerful sensations you'll feel when you play, such as the slow grittiness of driving a car through mud. We also incorporated adaptive triggers into the L2 and R2 of DualSense so that you can truly feel the tension of your actions. It's like drawing a bow to shoot an arrow. That is nice, but going into the same issue, guys, is this exact same thing also happens in a lot of games, and this is not just for first-person shooters, because the stick that I was talking about was mostly for first-person shooters. This issue can happen on most games, even driving games. So games that require you to use the R2 button. This specifically, it's most of the time the R2 button that has the issue. It can happen to other buttons, but it's mostly the R2 button. The R2 button will sometimes not work. So the springs in the R2 button, they will eventually get messed up after using these for a long time. So, like, I've gone through a lot of controllers, just like, playing GTA, because I drive so many vehicles in GTA, and just, constantly pressing down the R2 stick, holding it down so many times. I've had the R2 stick wear out on previous controllers in the past, so that is an issue also. So, Sony, you gotta make these springs better. Make these springs better. These springs shouldn't be so cheap. They shouldn't be like, where you play for a few months and, you use the R2 button a lot, the springs are going to wear out. And to be fair, you can also fix this issue with the springs. You gotta open up the controller again, but still, like I said, we shouldn't have to open up the controller just to be able to, to fix an issue with the R2 button. So really hoping the R2 button is R2 and the L2 springs are better. And this is not, an attack on Sony. This is kind of constructive criticism. I just want this controller to be good. I'm sure a lot of people agree with me on that. But let's keep reading in here. This provided us with an exciting challenge to design a new controller that builds off the current generation while taking into account the new features we're adding. For example, with adaptive triggers, we had to consider how the components would fit into the hardware without giving it a bulky feeling. Our design team worked closely with our hardware engineers to place the triggers and actuators. The designers were then able to draw the lines of how the exterior of the controller would look and feel, with a challenge of making the controller feel smaller than it really looks. In the end, we changed the angle of the hand triggers and also made some subtle upgrades to the grip. We also took thoughtful consideration into ways to maintain a strong battery life for DualSense's rechargeable battery and to lessen the weight of the controller as much as possible as new features were added. Now this I like a lot. I just hope that there's no issues with the battery. But this I like a lot, and this is what I loved about Sony controllers, because Sony controllers, they're not on battery. You can just charge them right for your PlayStation. That's what I always liked about Sony controllers. And, some people might say, oh, I prefer just putting a battery in and playing. But, batteries cost money. And, you can always just charge up your controller. You can go, when your controller's dead, you can go get something to eat, do something else, watch some TV. Your controller charges up and you can play, and you can still, play the game while your controller is charging. So, that's what I've always loved about PlayStation controllers, is the fact that you can charge them, through the PlayStation. You don't gotta buy batteries for them. That's what I liked. And also, they're gonna have less weight. I don't mind that also. Wonder how these grips are gonna be different, because they said we're gonna be improving the grips, but, looking at the grips right now, it looks a little bit more slanted. Not really noticing much. Kind of looks like Xbox grips in a way. Just kind of my own little observation there, but we'll have to see. I will probably do a review of this controller when the PS5 comes out. I'll hold it in my hands and everything and do a review of it, how everything feels. Let's see right here. For the buttons, you'll notice there is no longer a share button as we had with DualShock 4. Don't worry, it's not going away. In fact, we've built upon the success of our industry first share button to bring you a new create button feature. With create, we're once again pioneering new ways for players to create epic gameplay content to share with the world or just to enjoy for themselves. We'll have more details on the feature as we get closer to launch. Okay, now this I want to talk about this share stuff because a lot of you guys that watch my channel and you have your own channels, I see a lot of you guys on my friends list, 2,000 people on my friends list. A lot of people use the Share Factory and they upload, their own clips from gameplay straight from their PlayStation to YouTube, which is a nice feature, don't get me wrong, but there's a very annoying feature with the share button on the PlayStation, and if you've gone through enough clips on the PlayStation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a glitch, and this isn't really the fault of the controller. It's not the fault of the controller. It's more of the hardware. But I still want to talk about it because it's they're bringing up the share button. But there is an issue where if you capture gameplay from whatever game, doesn't matter, Call of Duty, GTA, whatever game you're playing, you capture gameplay from that game, and then you put it into Share Factory or you put it on your computer through a flash drive to edit and start uploading, you will notice that oftentimes there are a few seconds of content that are cut off. So like you'll be watching like a clip from Share Factory and you'll notice there'll be randomly like a few seconds cut off. Like you'll be running through a game, then all of a sudden you'll just teleport forward, or you'll be watching a cutscene and you'll like see the cutscene like just randomly jump like 20 seconds ahead. Like that footage is just missing. That 10-20 seconds is gone. And sometimes it's gonna be 10-20 seconds, sometimes it's gonna be 5 seconds, sometimes it's gonna be 2 seconds. And what appears to cause this issue is storage space. So if the PlayStation has less and less storage, it is much more likely to go through this, share button, cutoff glitch. That's what I'll refer to it as, the cutoff glitch. Also, the game folders. To fix this glitch, you would want to have as much space on your PlayStation. So, try to have at least over 200 gigabytes of free space. I know that's not easy with all the games that we have, but if you have over 200 gigabytes of free space and you also clear out that folder. So like for that game, let's say for instance that it's like, Call of Duty, and you're trying to like upload Call of Duty clips and your clips are getting cut off, but you have like 20 Call of Duty clips in that folder. Try deleting those Call of Duty clips, because when you clear out that folder, that glitch where it gets cut off is much less likely to happen, much less likely. So it has something to do with the amount of videos that are in that game folder and also the storage space. So Sony, please, when you're improving the share button in the PS5, don't let it cut off clips, because this can be so frustrating when somebody's trying to record gameplay or they're trying to record something important in the game and they're trying to record something they do and they do something amazing in the game and that just gets cut off right there. That's good footage that is just wasted. So please do something about that. And I've looked this issue up on Google. A lot of people have complained to Sony about this cutoff issue with the share button, and Sony, they don't really have a good response to it every time. They give it just a generic response to it. So really hope with the PS5 that everything gets captured perfectly. There is no cutoff for the share button. So I just wanted to mention that. And the share button is probably going to be in the exact same place here. This is probably the create button now. That's what they're going to be calling it, but we'll have to see. Let's see here. DualSense also adds in a built-in microphone array which will enable players to easily chat with friends without a headset. Ideal for jumping into a quick conversation, but of course if you're planning to chat for a longer period, it's good to have a headset handy. Oh, so that's what it might be. It has a built-in microphone array which will enable players to easily chat with friends without a headset. This may finally end end no mics, because a lot of people, they don't have microphones in games where communication is essential. So that's what this might mean. The microphone might be inside the controller. So that is interesting. They don't have much more info here, so we'll have to see what this means, built-in microphone array. But let me know in the comments if I'm getting this right. From what I'm reading here, it looks like the headset is going to be in the controller. And the PS4, it actually launched with a free headset. It was kind of cheap, but it was like, that one like black wire that you hook up, that one little earbud that you put in. But it was good. It worked. And that was actually a good part on Sony's. That design was pretty cheap on their part, so they didn't have to spend that much money, and gave much more players a mic. So much more players are going to be able to communicate with you. I'm just guessing that the audio quality probably is not going to be good. If you try to talk into the headset on this controller, the audio quality is not going to be good. So we'll have to see that. But let's see here. Now let's talk about the colors. Traditionally, our base colors have a single color. As you can see, we went with a different direction time around, decided on a two-tone design. Additionally, we changed the position of the light bar that will give an extra pop. On DualShock 4, it's set on top of the controller. Now it sits at each side of the touchpad, giving it a slightly larger look and feel. Kind of mentioned that earlier. In all, we went through several concepts and hundreds of mock-ups over the last few years. Before we settled on this final design, DualSense has been tested by a wide range of gamers with a variety of hand sizes in order for us to achieve the comfort level we wanted. With great ergonomics, our goal of DualSense is to give gamers the feeling of being transported into the game world as soon as they open the box. We want gamers to feel like the controller is an extension of themselves when they're playing, so much that they forgot that it's even in their hands. DualSense makes a radical departure from our previous controllers. Okay. Okay, so, yeah, so there's no word on the delay, so it looks like PlayStation 5 is still coming out holiday 2020. So we'll probably have more information on this controller in the months ahead, but let me know what you guys think of the design. Do you like it? And if you agree with me and you think those issues that I mentioned with the stick and the R2 button and the share button, if you want these issues to be fixed, you agree with me, then share this video and, maybe, tweet this video at Sony. Maybe, somebody at Sony will see it. If enough people see this video, maybe, they'll look into these issues, hopefully, to keep it from happening with the new PS5 controller. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, and if you're new to my channel, join my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.